Hear me out. Beyonce killed Jay-Z's mistress. Not Jay-Z. And he's covering that shit up for her.
Buckle up because you're about to dive into one of the juiciest, most shocking pieces of celebrity gossip this year. Today, we're not just scratching the surface, we're going deep into the heart of one of Hollywood's most powerful couples. Rumor has it that Beyonce has finally confirmed the unthinkable in a twist that sounds straight out of a blockbuster thriller. In this video, we're uncovering all the dirt, details about Jay-Z's numerous flings, and the murky shadows of their glamorous life. And yes, you heard it right. We're talking multiple mistresses, but the bombshell doesn't stop there. Did Beyonce actually take extreme measures against one of Jay-Z's most notorious side pieces? Stay tuned as we break down the details, explore the implications, and uncover what this means for the Queen Bee and her empire. First, let's kick things off with a little bit of Rita Ora. Rita Ora recently set the record straight on those Becky with the good hair rumors.
You can see the potential. When she enters a room, it changes. The first time I truly saw her on stage was at the K1lled event in New York City. To have that sort of stage presence and that sort of energy, the music went off and she still was like more, like she still wanted to go. She jumped off the stage at one point, dancing with the crowd. It was a great moment.
It was scary, but it was so exciting. It was like everything was happening at once.
You were how old?
Just turned 18.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I moved to Brooklyn. I went from sharing a room with my sister to having my own apartment in Brooklyn, like overnight.
What was the advice you needed but didn't get at that point in your life?
Don't believe all the promises that people tell you.
In a not-so-late interview, Rita Ora talked about the time she got tangled up in headlines as the rumored other woman in Beyonce and Jay-Z's marriage. This whole mix-up came from some unfortunately timed photos that got people talking. Rita made it clear she never had a romantic thing with Jay-Z, her former mentor, during or after their professional relationship. She even shared a funny story about a gift from her friend Katy Perry that helped her shrug off the gossip with a laugh. Remember when Beyonce basically broke the internet back in 2016 with her album Lemonade? That album had tracks hinting that Jay-Z might have stepped out, and suddenly everyone was on the hunt for Becky, the alleged other woman with the standout hair. Rita got caught in the crossfire when she posted a selfie on Snapchat where she was wearing a lemon print bikini top and a necklace with AJ on it, which fans took as clues pointing to her involvement. In the interview, Rita tried super hard to make it all look like it was a coincidence. Rita also shared how she coped during that turbulent time. A good pal, Katy Perry, gave her a cheeky badge that read, "Not Becky," which certainly added a bit of humor to the situation. So, it's clear now, Rita isn't the infamous Becky with the good hair, or so we think. Back in 2016, she tried to squash these rumors in a Vanity Fair interview, expressing her frustration at how disrespectful the accusations were, not just to her, but to women in general, distracting from what should matter most, the music. Rita, who's always looked up to Beyonce, felt these rumors were particularly painful. Rita's journey with Jay-Z's label Roc Nation started in 2008 when she released her debut album. However, after feeling neglected, she sued the label 7 years later, leading to an out-of-court settlement. But Rita Ora is far from being the only side chick that Jay-Z could have had some sort of involvement with. There's also Rachel Roy, and boy did things get spicy with her. As you probably know, just a few weeks ago, Beyonce dropped her brand new album, Cowboy Carter. Beyonce wanted to shake things up again with a brand new era of music. Cowboy Carter is the follow-up to her hit album Renaissance, and it's all about that country life. A few weeks back, Bey dropped a hint during a Super Bowl ad with Verizon, casually mentioning, "They ready, drop the new music." That little tease set the internet on fire. Soon after, she confirmed that her 8th studio album would hit us on March 29th. Remember how Renaissance was mysteriously tagged as Act 1 on her site? Well, the mystery continues, but now with a country twist. Beyonce rolled out a trailer on her social feeds, hinting at a switch to country vibes. The teaser showed her cruising past a sign saying Radio Texas, 100,000 watts of healing power, and a billboard flashing Texas Hold'em, a nod to her Houston roots. It's a full circle moment back to her Lemonade days with Daddy Lessons, and fans were already buzzing about more country tracks when she rocked a cowboy hat and leather bolo tie at this year's Grammys. On her Renaissance tour, she's been all about that Western flair and Southern charm, with lots of horse imagery that seems to shout out to her Houston ties. She's been hinting at Cowboy Carter for a while now, saying it's been 5 years in the making. Born from a not-so-welcoming experience that stuck with her, this album is her way of reclaiming her space. To kick off the album's 10-day countdown, she dropped the cover art on Instagram and shared a bit of the backstory, opening up about feeling unwelcome and how that fueled this album's creation. Feels like we're back in 2016, doesn't it? Years after the whispers started, Beyonce's fans are diving back into Rachel Roy's past with Bey and Jay, thanks to some old affair rumors. Just days before Beyonce dropped her new album, Rachel Roy shared a kind of mysterious quote on Instagram from Albert Einstein. "Stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution." In her caption, she mused, "Some people are thrilled by everything. Others just point out every single negative. Which one are you? Imagine all those folks who doubted Albert's crazy ideas." She went on to say, "Some look to be overjoyed at every turn, every decision, every moment. Others look to be annoyed at every moment, pointing out all negatives that might go wrong. Which are you? Imagine all of the people that once told Albert he could not try or think anything new. My wish today, may I look to be overjoyed with every moment. May I see the beauty in everyone and in myself. May I only be around those that do the same." This all comes back around because when Beyonce unleashed her bombshell album Lemonade in 2016, with that infamous line in Sorry, "He only want me when I'm not there. He better call Becky with the good hair." A lot of fingers pointed at Roy due to her deep ties with Jay-Z's business and her past with Damon Dash, whom she met while working at Rocawear. The drama peaked when there was talk about Solange being ticked off at Jay-Z, supposedly over his rumored fling with Roy at the 2014 Met Gala. Confusion hit its peak when the Bayhive accidentally went after celebrity chef Rachel Ray instead, mixing up their names. Roy herself added fuel to the fire right before Lemonade dropped. She posted, and later deleted, something along the lines of, "Good hair don't care, but we will take good lighting for selfies or self-truths, always. Live in the light." This really stirred up the hive. While we may never really crack the case of Jay-Z's alleged mistress, the good hair saga has popped up again with Beyonce's latest release, Cowboy Carter. In a snippet called Dolly P, country legend Dolly Parton chimes in, "Hey, Miss Honeybee, it's Dolly P. You know that hussy with the good hair you sing about? Reminded me of someone I knew back when, except she has flaming locks of auburn hair, bless her heart. Just a hair of a different color, but it hurts just the same." Some fans started cracking jokes on X. Rachel Roy absolutely thought she'd heard the last of y'all in 2016, and yet lowell. However, Becky isn't the only girl or the only name that is on Beyonce's scope. There's also Jolene, and maybe Gwyneth. Back in 2018, Amber Rose, who's both a rapper and internet celeb, dropped a bombshell on the Make Speedy Famous Again podcast. She was convinced that Gwyneth Paltrow was the mystery Becky with the good hair, who she thought might have had a thing with Jay-Z. She pointed out that Gwyneth and Beyonce used to be tight, and then suddenly, you didn't see them together anymore. But Beyonce was still with Jay.
I definitely think Gwyneth Paltrow is like Becky with the good hair. I really feel like she's...
Give us, what does that mean to
I feel like
our
she's the one that was like f***ing Jay-Z.
Oh, in real
Right?
life.
Oh, right.
Oh, because they were even
They were like
out.
friends, and then like you don't see Gwyneth Paltrow with Beyonce anymore. It just seems like she was the one that was f***ing Jay-Z, and now Gwyneth lost her husband, but like Beyonce's still with Jay.
Conspiracy there.
Oh, that's...
all right. Amber's got all the truth.
I've been waiting.
I mean, I don't got no... I don't know.
Damn.
Allegedly.
Gwyneth's team was quick to shut those rumors down, calling them completely false. Gwyneth herself even clapped back at a fan who brought it up online, saying, "What? Of course not. That is absurd. Good Lord." The plot thickened when the co-writer of the famous song Sorry, Diana Gordon, stepped into the fray, telling us that as far as she knew, Becky wasn't actually a specific person. She found the whole "Who is Becky" mystery pretty amusing, given that no one really knew who they were talking about. She said Beyonce might have had her own reasons for the lyrics, but it wasn't about one person in particular. Diana also touched on the phrase, "with the good hair," explaining it was more about addressing colorism within the Black community rather than pointing to a specific individual. To her, it was about the stereotype associated with lighter skin and less kinky hair being seen as more desirable. So while fans love to speculate whether Jolene and Becky refer to actual people, it seems they're more likely generic terms Beyonce used to talk about infidelity in general. Jay-Z himself sort of backed this broader interpretation in his own way, hinting at his past behaviors in the song 444, where he raps about his regrets and realizations about women. Despite all the clarifications, the guessing game continues on social media, with fans convinced that Jolene and Becky must be real people. While the true identity of Becky, if there is one, remains a mystery, if I were her, I'd definitely keep a low profile. Now, we all know that Jay-Z's not exactly been Mr. Faithful to Beyonce, and yep, they're both pretty open about this messy part of their history. But let's take it back to where the drama unfolded, because it's quite the saga. A few months before things blew up, Jay-Z was in Miami shooting a commercial and bumped into a newbie rapper named Olivia McFaller.
You know what? I was gonna respect you, but since you crossed over into my lane, it's time to check you. Your man, he likes model chicks.
Olivia let it all out during an interview, saying she was just chilling with her sister on set when Jay-Z decided to cozy up next to her. They chatted for a bit before he took off. Later, one of Jay's bodyguards came over and tried to get her number for Jay. Smooth, huh? Olivia wasn't feeling it. Thought it was a bit childish and she didn't want to step on Beyonce's toes. So she passed on giving her number. But that wasn't the end of it. They ran into each other again at a spot called New in Miami. This time, both were with their squads, and Solange, Beyonce's sister, was there too. Here's where it gets juicy. Olivia and Jay sneaked off to a private spot to exchange numbers, and guess who saw them? Solange. Yeah, she walked right into it. Olivia thought Solange was about to throw down right there, but she bailed quick. Everyone knows Solange doesn't play when it comes to Beyonce. Remember the elevator incident? Solange was ready to go off on Olivia right then and there. Jay got spooked, pushed Olivia to swap numbers with his bodyguard instead, a dude named Norman, who apparently handled his sideline communications. Solange being on full guard duty was enough to make Olivia steer clear of Jay after that. Beyonce kinda aired out her feelings on the whole thing in her track Resentment. She's singing about being the first one there, sticking around for 6 years, and not deserving to be pushed aside. Makes you wonder, huh? And Olivia? She tried to ride the scandal wave by dropping a track titled Sorry Mrs. Carter, where she brags, "Your man likes model chicks. He likes all naturally flawless model chicks like me." But despite the hype, her rap career didn't really blow up, and she kinda just faded away. But with Beyonce's new album, there's yet another twist worth mentioning, and this one is really crazy. If we talk about Jay-Z's mistresses, then we can't finish the story without mentioning K1lled. So, K1lled, a fitness and beauty guru who was only 28, tragically passed away in her Manhattan apartment back in September of 2011. She was a Howard grad and ran her own PR firm, White Label PR. Sadly, she died from an aneurysm. Last year, some gossip sites stirred up drama, claiming she was Jay-Z's mistress after she was seen hanging out with him and some celebs at a club in Vegas. Her friends confirmed the cause was an aneurysm, but it's not clear what type since these can pop up anywhere in the body. Basically, an aneurysm happens when a blood vessel or part of the heart gets a weak spot and starts to bulge out. If it gets too big, it can burst and cause serious problems or even sudden death. Her death has brought some unwanted buzz around Jay-Z, with some wild theories about a secret child and even crazier Illuminati stuff. It's a total bummer. Also, Liz Crokin, who used to write for Star magazine, was about to get the scoop straight from Kathy in a tell-all interview about her rumored fling with the rapper. But right after setting up the interview, Kathy passed away. According to her autopsy, it was a brain aneurysm, but Liz finds it sketchy that a healthy young woman would just die like that. Some people dove straight into digging up the dirt once they found out about Kathy's passing. Turns out, it might not have been a brain aneurysm like everyone's saying. An NYPD detective let slip that they weren't really sure what caused her death, and they were waiting on the autopsy and toxicology reports. Things were looking kind of shady. Here's the 411 from the NYPD. Someone dialed 911 from her place at 130 West 19th Street. She was feeling awful, so they rushed her to Beth Israel where she later died. It's way too early to chalk it up to an aneurysm. There was talk that she might have been slipped something bad. 2 weeks before her death, a major tabloid hit Kathy up about her link to Jay-Z. She didn't spill much, but she did call Jay afterward, threatening to go public about their affair and wanted to cash in on it. All this just days after Beyonce announced she's pregnant with Jay-Z's kid. And then, boom, Kathy dies under these mysterious circumstances. Could Kathy have been trying to shake down Jay-Z? Who knows? But if they chatted, you bet the cops will be knocking on his door since they're digging deep into her death. A close buddy of Jay-Z was like, no way did Jay have anything to do with her dying. He's got too much on the line, especially with the baby coming. Everybody knows he steps out, but no one would buy Kathy's story. And here's a kicker. None of this autopsy or other intriguing info ever hit the news. Not even a peep in the Inquirer. For many, it still looks like Jay-Z had a hand in her ending. After the Kathy White story went down, people started digging up more and more stuff about Jay and Bey. As it turns out, there might be more to their life than what we can see from when they are in the public. Some claim they've been living separately and just pretending to be a happy family in public. Totally for show. Beyonce's smarter than she lets on and hates being seen as just a pretty voice. There are rumors that Blue Ivy is barely around Beyonce and that she has the nannies doing all the work. Jay, on the other hand, adores her and is obsessed with her not inheriting his looks. But that's just the beginning, and we've got a lot more in store for you. Once again, we're coming back to Cowboy Carter. This is not a country album, it's a Beyonce album. And what we mean by that is, she always put a touch of her life in the music. And perhaps this time around, she really did expose herself and her dark side. See, there is this track called Daughter that got a lot of folks talking and forming all kinds of interesting stories. We'll go through the lyrics of the song and you'll see why people on the internet believe that Beyonce may have just told us about how she took out Jay-Z's mistress this one time. In the first verse, Beyonce sings, "Your body laid out on these filthy floors, your bloodstains on my custom couture's bathroom attendant let me right in." She was a big fan. I really tried to stay cool, but your arrogance disturbed my solitude. Now I ripped your dress, and you're all black and blue. Look what you made me do. The first couple of lines throw some really sharp sounds at you. Think filthy floor and custom couture. It's like you can hear the anger in each word. And basically, Beyonce had to deal with someone in the bathroom and really showed her what's what. Perhaps Kathy? Let's see what she says next. They keep saying that I ain't nothing like my father, but I'm the furthest thing from choir boys and altars. If you cross me, I'm just like my father. I am colder than Titanic water. This but isn't just bouncing off what others say. It's more like she's filling the audience in on the chatter. She hints that there's a bit of a devilish streak in her and her dad. Kinda makes sense since she is her father's daughter after all. She weaves in that Christian vibe with words like choir boys, altars, father, and cross. And she's totally ready to take down anyone too full of themselves, making them sink like the Titanic. Then, in verse 2, she drops this. I sashayed my dress, did my best impression of a damsel in distress. This alcohol and smell of regret allured my catch outfit too small to hide my scars. Feeling bottled up like bottle service broads. How long can he hold his breath before his death? Again, we see that someone else is dead here, but we're not quite sure whether this is real life or just fantasy of Beyonce's mind. However, safe to say this song has a pretty dark vibe. It's got religious terms sprinkled throughout as well. The song dives into her darker fantasies, laying bare the gritty thoughts she might have, especially when she's been drinking or smoking. She's not actually done these things, but she's definitely opening up about the darker corners of her mind. In the song, she talks about taking down both a man and a woman, and that is exactly what got the people wondering. Who are the victims? It sounds like she might be dealing with violence aimed at her first, trying to cover up the abuse. And just like those bottle service girls who face harassment, she seems to channel their struggle and fights back in her way. The track is titled Daughter, though she never actually says the word. It's more about her reflecting on herself in relation to her dad. But there's also this undercurrent about what her dad was like. Growing up with him probably left a heavy emotional imprint on her. Through her own actions in the song, she seems to be shedding light on the kind of man her dad was, painting a picture of how that shaped her. All right, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into the whirlwind of rumors and drama surrounding Jay-Z and his alleged escapades. It's been quite the ride with stories of close calls, secret exchanges, and a protective sister ready to throw down to defend her family. Beyonce, as ever, remains the queen of grace under pressure, channeling her feelings into powerhouse ballads that speak volumes. As we've seen, navigating the high seas of celebrity life comes with its share of storms, and sometimes it seems like Beyonce might just be clearing the deck in her own unique way. Whether it's through her music or through the fierce loyalty of family, one thing's clear: Jay-Z's mistresses might want to watch their backs. Because if the rumors hold any truth, crossing Beyonce could be the last thing they ever do.